Thank you. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, and everybody, welcome. First of all, I should tell you a little thing about me. I came from Jamaica as a 16-year-old to England in 1960, so you can work out my age, those who knows got maths. I landed at Heathrow Airport, and I was shocked when I landed here. When the aircraft was coming in, and I see all the tops of the houses, I really thought that this place was a factory. All the houses had chimneys up and smoke coming out of them. And I thought, oh, they talk about, when I was in Jamaica, they talk about industrial, it's an industrial nation. So my first impression was all the houses that were factories because of the chimney. I come from Jamaica, and I come from the mountains, right up in the mountains. The day before I left Jamaica to come to England, I had to carry water in my head from the spring for my mum and dad so they could have tea in the morning. We had no electricity, we had nothing. And when I come to England, the first night I was in England, was lying in bed, slept in the same bed as my brother, and we were talking, and he said, blow out the light. Because he couldn't say to me, switch off the lights. We don't have switches. So the language was changed. I loved the place, and I thought when I came here, I thought I was in heaven. I really thought I was in heaven. Because when you're a kid and you've been working all your life on a farm, you're sowing, you're carrying water, you're looking after the cows. My dad was a planter, and they used to say, you're as rich as the number of sons you have. And he had 5 sons, so he was okay. Because we were little labourers that would do it. They used to call us picking. And what it means that it's so small, the jobs that you do would be picking up stuff. So they call it picking. So you hear the term picking when they mention the word picking. It means that children that pick up stuff. So that was it. But what I would like to mention to you about, I'm actually one of the Windrush miners. I came over here as a 16-year-old, and I was one of those that has been in the news recently about that we're over here illegally. Now, you've got to remember, when I was in Jamaica, I had 2 sisters, and they were recruited in 1956 to come to Brighton General as nurses. They were one of the first black nurses that came over from the Caribbean. And I must explain to you why we're here. We didn't come here for choice. We were asked to come here. England had a terrible war. The Second World War was a terrible war. The whole country was flattened, near enough. Even Brighton was bombed out. Kent Town was bombed out. Different buildings in Brighton, Lewis Road, all over the place. Places like Coventry was down in the grounds, Manchester, all over the country. When the war was finished, England also had another disaster that they lost a lot of the men. There was a flu, Spanish type of flu that wiped out a lot of the population. So in fact, England didn't have enough men and women to build back up its country, so it went to the Commonwealth. It went to the Caribbean, it went to Africa, it went to India, and it recruited nurses, doctors, dishwashers, carpenters, mechanics, builders, all the workers, all the menial workers. They had cooks in the hospital, they had laundry workers in the hospital. They recruited all because they didn't have enough people. At the same time, it was the birth of the National Health Service. Now, before the National Health Service, hospitals in England, if you were poor and you were ill, you would most likely end up in a workhouse. A workhouse is somewhere where the poor would go. They would have somewhere to sleep, they'd go there at night. And the biggest poorhouse they had in Brighton was on top of the race hill, Brighton General. And it was where they kept all the poor people, and they would stay overnight, and if they had money, they couldn't go in. And I was told, when I worked at the General, I was told that a lot of the homeless who had a little bit of money, because they were beggars, they would hide it. Brighton the building is scattered all over the place, and to connect the building with water and steam, it's on the ground. So all the buildings are connected up with water. And they're paving stones, and what the homeless people used to do, they used to lift up the stone and hide the money underneath there, or something like that, because if they were caught with money, they would have been taken off them. Britain was class before, and once again, it was the Labour Party who set up the health service. All you guys know this. You all know about the health service and who it was set up by. It was set up by the Labour Party, whatever what anybody said. And it was set up to be free at the point of use for anybody. The homeless, the vagabonds, whoever they are, they could have treatment in the hospital. It was free at the entry. But one thing they didn't have was people to work. They didn't have staff to do any of the work. And this is why they went to Africa and India and the Caribbean. And this is why we're over here, really. We were asked to come here. We didn't get on a plane and just come to England. Couldn't do that. There were advertisements. My two sisters, for instance, Princess Margaret came to Jamaica in 1957, and I was in the Boys Brigade. I was like an 11-year-old, me and my brother, who were in the Royal Air Force in the Boys Brigade, and we had to go to a place called Mandeville where Princess Margaret came. And because me and my brother was only 2 years difference with us, he was 13, I was 11, the two big sisters came along with us to look after us. And while they were there, they went into a marquee which was set up, and inside there were matrons from England, from the different hospitals. And they were giving out magazines, nursing magazines, advertising, telling them where they can apply for jobs. These were in Manchester, there was in Birmingham, there was in London, there was in Brighton. Both of my sister applied to come to England, and they applied to 5 different hospitals, and they had replied. And the reason why they chose Brighton was because Brighton was the first one to respond to their email, so they came to Brighton. But I love the place. I've been here since 1960. I've been in Brighton since 1967. I'm living in the same house with the same woman, and I've had 2 kids since. So my life is quite boring, really. But I think I said enough, Mohammed. Where's Mohammed hiding? He's not even, some usually he's not even listening to me. So I could continue on, but I don't want to bore you with my life story. Thank you, Mohammed, and thanks for having me. Respect to you.